My name is Isabella Perez, Recreation Leader for the City of Socorro. Thank you for joining today's meeting. Before the meeting begins, we would like to remind our guests to remove all hats and silence all electronic devices. No destructive behavior or outbursts will be tolerated, and violators are subject to ejection and possible prosecution.
Hola, mi nombre es Judy Rodríguez, secretaria de Planificación de la Ciudad de Socorro. Gracias por participar en la reunión de hoy. Antes de que comience la reunión, nos gustaría recordarles a nuestros invitados favor de quitarse los sombreros y silenciar todos los dispositivos electrónicos. No se tolerará ningún comportamiento perturbador ni exabrupto y los infractores estarán sujetos a expulsión y posible procesamiento.
It is 6:05 p.m. This meeting is called to order. Item number 2, Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence led by Tigua Next Generation Youth Workforce Program students.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible.
Thank you very much. And if I could have everyone's attention, I'd just like to make it known that Congresswoman Veronica Escobar just came into the room. Would you like to stand up and, wave to the people? Thank you very much. Item number 3, establishment of quorum.
Ruben Reyes.
Here.
Cesar Nevares.
Here.
Alejandro Garcia.
Here.
Mayor Ivy Avalos.
Here.
Rudy Cruz.
Present.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, public comment.
No speakers for public comment, Mayor.
Thank you. Moving on to presentations, item number 5, presentation by Congresswoman Veronica Escobar on congressional appropriation funds and recognition for the Rio Vista Capital Project.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council, and to the city staff and to all of the residents. It's wonderful to be here and a privilege to be able to present to you all today. I have a big check for the city of Socorro, and I first want to thank all of you, Mayor, Council, the entire team. The incredible work that you all are doing in the city of Socorro is impressive, and it's inspiring, and it's been a real joy for my team and I to be able to work with you all. I represent only a part of the community, but we are always ready, willing, and able to help with anything that you all need. And again, you all have been fantastic partners. So I have a check, and before I tell you about the check, just so that everybody who is here, I'd love to fill you all in on the process before we talk a little bit about the project. But Congress has historically had the ability, members of Congress historically had the ability to fund specific projects in their districts, and that process was called earmarks. But there was some controversy many years ago related to earmarks. So Congress did away with them. But in doing that, Congress essentially did away with their ability to fund specific projects in their district. And for many communities, and I think the city of Socorro knows this all too well, it is sometimes really challenging to get federal grants because you have to put up matching money. If you don't have a big grants department, sometimes it's hard to compete. And so from my perspective, and many of my colleagues shared the same belief, we needed to have the ability to bring money home to communities that are in need, that find it harder to compete. Not that you all find it hard to compete, but the argument behind bringing back earmarks was, we know where the money is needed, we know which communities need it most, let us have more control. So we were able to accomplish that, and the process was changed and revamped. There are guardrails around the process, a lot of transparency, a lot of accountability, but we were able to regain the ability to do this direct funding, and it's called community project funding. And Socorro has been amazing in terms of how competitive you are. We've been doing this now for a few years, and the projects that you submit are always well done and highly competitive, and it's been a privilege to be able to support the work that you all do, the visionary work that you all do. And so today, I'm here to present the check for one of those projects, an incredible project that I will let others speak to, but it is a little over $1 million for the city of Socorro. And I'm wondering if I can approach so that I can present you all with this check. My office, the 16th Congressional District for El Paso, it is my privilege to present to the city of Socorro this funding, and would love for one of you, Mayor, to talk about the projects that it is funding.
Or shall we have Victor talk about it? I think Victor is the man for the job in this case.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. This funding is going to go to the Rio Vista Community Center. Part of our goal is to create a holistic approach at that center, which honors not only the Braceros history, but also creates functional space for our community, including the first ever public clinic, the first ever public library, the first ever Bracero Museum, and continued support for our civic and education engagements with classrooms, meeting space, and of course our senior and veteran services. So thank you so much for this.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've got a couple more things before we head out. Speaking of Victor, who is such a joy to work with, Victor, we have a certificate of, congressional certificate of appreciation for you. And this flag, which was flown over the United States Capitol, to thank you for all that you do for the
Should we get one with Council?
Yes, let's do it.
And my boss.
Aquí está.
So I'll just close by once again thanking Victor, the entire team, the mayor and council, and the community of Socorro. The way that you all are preserving an important piece of history is impressive and inspiring. And so we look forward to continuing to support those efforts and supporting the city of Socorro in any way that we can. Thank you for the time today, Mayor, Council, and team. Thank you.
Congresswoman, before you leave, on behalf of the city of Socorro, we really want to thank you because a lot of times a growing city like ours here, we have to spend our money for public safety, infrastructure, and whatnot. And sometimes we find ourselves without being able to find the funds, appropriate funds for us to invest in our history and our culture and community projects such as these. So we want to thank you on behalf of our city for making those funds accessible through your office. So thank you.
Oh, it's
Thank
my,
you
it's
for the
my
investment
honor
in
to
our
be able to
community.
support your work. Thank you. Thank you.
Monday? Item number 6, proclamation to recognize the month of July as the City of Socorro's Recreation Appreciation Month.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. It is my esteemed honor to request this proclamation in recognition for the department's work and efforts throughout the community as we usher in a new era for the city of Socorro with the newly adopted, hopefully adopted, comprehensive master plan and all the strides to make our city more innovative and engaging. I'd like to request this acknowledgement for my staff's hard work. Thank you.
And at this moment, I'll read the proclamation. Whereas recreation is an integral part of communities throughout the country, including the city of Socorro, Texas, and whereas our recreation department is vitally important to establishing and maintaining the quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all community members and contributing to the well-being of a community and region. And whereas our recreation department is a leading provider of healthy meals, nutrition services, and education aimed at building healthy, active communities that aid in the prevention of chronic disease, provide therapeutic recreation services for individuals with disabilities, and also improve the mental and emotional health of all residents. And whereas our recreation is fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community by increasing our community's economic prosperity through expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, the attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas our recreation areas ensure the ecological beauty of our community and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas our recreation department serves as the programmers and coordinators of several campaigns, events, and initiatives in the areas of recreation, communication, emergency response, historic preservation, and overall civic affairs, often representing the city as ambassadors on a local, state, and national stage. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Ivy Avalos, Mayor of the City of Socorro, along with the Socorro City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of July be recognized as Recreation Month in the City of Socorro, Texas.
Thank you, Mayor. As you call each of the employees' names up for a small token, we'd like to also take a picture with the proclamation. However, we do have 2 new members to our team. We are going to be introducing our new multimedia specialist to y'all, Ms. Norma Alvarez. And as I mentioned, yes. And as a part of that ushering in for the new era of Socorro and tackling the challenges that we have with doing more with less, we did get a new transit coordinator to assist the city in all of its transit needs and have already begun working at addressing some of those gaps in service. So you will also meet Mr. Edward Rodriguez.
Call out the name. Call out the name. It's in the inside. Call out the name.
Daniela.
Ms. Bella Perez. Laura.
Yolanda.
Ms. Norma.
And last but not least, Edward.
Don't worry, I'm the tallest. One more.
Wait, they have to show the bag. They have to show. Thank you all.
Item number 7, presentation of participation for the first annual Youth Developmental League in the city of Socorro.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This year did conclude the first ever Youth Development League for the city of Socorro. In total, we had 6 coaches, which included Laura Arredondo, Alan Avila, Rene Laurayano, Isabela Perez, Enrique Cisneros. Please stand for recognition. With a course of 6 coaches, we held 10 practices and played 12 games with 32 athletes. We're going to honor each of those 32 athletes and 6 coaches in a little bit. However, we could not have done this event without the support from the community. We did have 7 sponsors who did come on board to help us with our first ever league. They included Enrique Cisneros Insurance for $1,000. Sullivan Auto Solutions for $250. Lujan Trucking, $250. Sun City Party Rentals, $250. El Crucero Mexican Grill, $250. And the end-of-season sponsor was Build a Pizza, which also held their end-of-season pizza party. We're very excited for next year's season and have begun looking at ways to further expand and make it better for our community. At this time, Mayor, along with council, I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and call out the names of the athletes so we can give them the certificate. And I do believe Mr. Cisneros would like to share a few words regarding next season.
So I'll make it quick, especially after the big check Congresswoman Escobar brought. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Council. Thank you, Laura. I want to thank my wife. She was also one of our coaches, Elida Cisneros. We had a lot of support. We had a lot of Socorro businesses that were happy to participate in raising the funds for this season. I called them all today, and I'm happy to announce that along with us, we will match this year's contributions for the next year. So please make sure you come out next year as well. We want this to be a continuing thing, and thank you, council. Thank you.
There is one other group that also needs to be acknowledged. Will all the parents that drove their children to our games and practices please stand up so we can thank you? As mayor calls your child's name, they're going to go ahead and proceed forward to get their certificate. We will take a group photo after, so once we have everyone lined up, we'll invite all the parents to come up so they can get a photo as well. Okay?
Allison Corona. Bailey Alcántar. Esteban Estrada. Abraham Rosas. Santiago Martínez. Yared Alberto Rendón. Josiah Alfaro. Enrique Cisneros III. Dominique Avila. Basilio Nava. Ian E. Cano Morales. Michaela I. Laureano. Steven Núñez. Idali Miranda. Aida Flores. Xander Andrew. Scarlett Palomo. Daphne A. Dueñas. Peter Friday. Dominic Guerrero. Madeline Vieira. Kaylin Martinez. Alberto Enrique Fierro. Alonso Chavira. Alexander Navarrete. Álvaro I. Salas. Leila Cernas. Raúl Arredondo. That's yours. Hold it like that. The other way, the other way.
Do we fit?
Shoulder to shoulder.
There you go.
Can we get the coaches to jump into this group photo, please? Laura, I'll take the picture.
The ones that didn't, yeah.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you. Item number 8, presentation of certificate of appreciation for the Tigua Next Generation Youth Workforce Program.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We present to you the annual certificate of appreciation for our strategic partnership with the TNG program, also known as the Tigua Next Generation Program. We have 3 members of their staff here with us. We have their director, Christine Serrano, their outreach counselor, Elizabeth Arcero, and their career developer, Skylar Julius Gomez, who assists with us, as well as Celeste Munoz, who assists us in not only receiving interns over the course of the summer, but we have the esteemed honor of training the new era or the new generation of workforce. We have them for a 2-week intensive training to teach them exactly how the city operates in terms of our operation systems and our operation functions. Then they get placed into different departments to learn introductions to different career paths where they shadow city staff and city directors, attend different meetings, understand how the city operates, and they also work the Independence Day extravaganza. This year was our youngest group ever with ages of 14 to 16. Some actually just turned 17, and I believe we have a birthday. Our interns also go on to continue in the program if they choose for next summer, so we do have some returners. Ms. Kara Lopez is one of our returners who actually aged out of the TNG program and entered the AmeriCorps program with the Isla del Sur Pueblo, Tiguas. This year we had exceptional individuals, 6 of them who we're honoring today. And we are happy to have Mayor and Council present them with a certificate of acknowledgement for their staff and appreciation for all the interns' work. This is a paid internship made possible by some of the Tigua foundational dollars, so we're really happy to be strategic project partners with them and, like I said, train our next generation of workforce.
I'm going to name Victor named the directors. Just going to call out the names once again, and would you please step forward? Christine Serrano. Elizabeth Arceo. Skylar Julius Gomez. And now the students. Mauricio Cruz. Sierra Chris Rivas. Richard Romero. Evan Gidley. Linda Lagunas. And Ms. Zadie Duran. Who is celebrating a birthday, so if you can give her an extra clap in there.
Congratulations.
Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, Mayor, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to move item number 27 up on the agenda.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares,
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia,
Yes.
Rudy Cruz,
Aye.
and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
On to Mayor and Council, item number 27. Discussion and action to approve an event permit for the youth community event commemorating August 3rd at Bulldog Park on August 3rd, coordinated by Peniel Ministries, and to waive the event fee.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item that I bring before you all today it's an event permit for a youth community event commemorating August 3rd at Bulldog Park. And this is coordinated by Peniel Ministries. And this agenda item that I bring forth is to waive the event fee. Being that it's a community-based event, I know, Mr. Martinez, you mentioned in the past that it's.
That was-
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. That the waiving of fees, in the future for whatever reason could open up a can of worms. But I think that because it's a community-based type of event, and we've waived fees in the past. We just waived the fee last week for the Socorro mission, and this is the item that I'm bringing here before you today. And I believe the gentleman here from the ministry is available to answer any questions from Peniel Ministries if you all would like to hear from him, or if you all would like to approach the podium at this time and kind of share in detail a little bit about what.
Hi,
the event
good
is.
afternoon. Thank you, Council. We would just like to go ahead and present, we work with youth. We do.
Would you state your name?
My name is Lidia Torres, and I am the pastor for Peniel Ministries. We are together with Alcance, working with the youth. We're doing community outreach, and it is a faith-based, but it's not only a particular religion. We want to go ahead and have the youth come to the community, and we wanted to go ahead and make it special this 3rd of August, commemorating the tragedy, but at the same time coming together that us Socorro, we are El Paso strong as well, and we go ahead and support them. We are going to have, we are going to have a special guest coming to do a prayer, and we would like to go ahead and extend the invite to all of you, so we could go ahead and be showing our youth that us as adults, we are there for them to go ahead and support them in anything and everything that they need.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
When it comes. Mr. Garcia?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to move item 23 as well. Second.
Ruben Reyes,
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz is absent, and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Recreation centers, item number 23. Discussion and action to approve an event permit and waive fees for the Socorro High School Annual Homecoming Parade and Pep Rally to be held on August 28th, 2024.
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to introduce you to the new Student Activities Director who is here with us, Ms. Caro Lopez. She is new to Socorro High School, but is not new to planning student events. So she's very excited to be doing the first homecoming for her here in Socorro. We are asking council to waive the permit fee for them. For the homecoming parade, as we've done in the past, we did already meet with Chief Rojas to go over traffic and safety as well as SISD PD. They're in accordance with the plan, and I have not heard any objections regarding that issue. If there's any questions, I or Ms. Lopez can answer them for you. The theme is, well, Ms. Lopez, would you like to announce the theme?
Hi, I'm Carolina Lopez. As Mr. Neta said, very excited to be starting over at Socorro High School. So my student council, we're eager to get going on a theme for the whole year, which is going to be Once Upon a Socorro for this year, Disney themed. And the parade is going to be all consisting of whatever our community comes up with, our feeder patterns that speaks to them in the Disney theme.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Can't wait to see it. Ruben Reyes?
Yes, but I got a comment before we sit down. Just very important. We need to make sure we put it on social media a lot of times, many times, because last year, the same day, everybody kept asking and calling and asking, and everybody wanted to have an answer. So if we could please put it a little bit more than always.
Yes, and the high school has partnered with us. They actually are going to go to all of our businesses that are on the affected route to let them know ahead of time, but we will be doing minimum 2 weeks before to let them know the route and the closures on the time.
Thank you, Victor.
Oh, also, I didn't add this, but we are the first ones to play in the new SAC. So Socorro High School will be the first team to play at the SAC 2.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz is absent, and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Moving on to consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz is absent, and Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
On to regular agenda, public hearing and ordinances. Item number 11, public hearing of an ordinance of the City of Socorro, Texas, adopting a comprehensive plan in accordance with Texas Local Government Code and providing for the future adoption or amendment of zoning regulations and/or other regulations as necessary and appropriate to be in conformance with the comprehensive plan. It is 6:44 p.m. Public hearing is now open. No speakers, Mayor. No speakers. Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 6:45 PM. Item number 12, second reading and adoption of an ordinance of the City of Socorro, Texas, adopting a comprehensive plan in accordance with the Texas Local Government Code and providing for the future adoption or amendment of zoning regulations and/or other regulations as necessary and appropriate to be in conformance with the comprehensive plan.
Motion to approve. Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Item number 12 for your consideration is the adoption of the comprehensive plan. The item before you is a culmination of a years-long effort between the community, the city staff, and our partners at Matrix. Brent Cox and Janice Pokrant are at the meeting via Zoom to deliver their presentation on the final plan and can answer any questions.
Questions,
All right.
comments?
Good evening. Let me pull up the screen here. All right, can you all see the screen there?
Yes.
All right, great. Good evening. My name is Brent Cox, and we're really excited to be here tonight to present the final comprehensive plan that we've been working on with the city for the past year. With myself this evening is Janice Pokrant, Deputy Project Manager. We've had others on our team involved throughout this process, as well as our subconsultant, Texas Infrastructure Development Group. They've been heavily involved in the transportation components and providing some support for us through our different community engagement activities. And this is the project team that we've been working with, meeting with them on a monthly basis. I just want to say you guys have a great team there, a very passionate community, and we've really enjoyed working on this project with this team. And we're sad that it's coming to a close, but we know that it's going to be passed off to great hands to move forward into the next phases of the project. And just want to congratulate you all on the funding that you received today. That's going to really help on some of the items that we've identified in the plan as well. And it was really awesome seeing all the awards that were handed out tonight as well. So the plan itself it's looking to about a 15 to 20 year planning horizon. Just want to point out, it's important to know that this plan is not a complete document, or it's a complete document, but it's a living document. So just because it's getting adopted as it is today, that doesn't mean that it can't be updated. The city's going to have all the native files, the Word files, the GIS data. So they'll be able to update the plan, update the future land use map as things change in the future. That was a characteristic that was missing from the 2014 plan, as the city didn't have that data to update the plan. But this will be really beneficial to help the planning department and the community with some of those items as they move forward. So the plan is general, but also comprehensive. There's a lot of great information in here. And the focus of the plan is to provide policy guidance for the city staff and residents, developers, city council, to look forward for how the city wants, what the end state of the city is at the year 2040, which is the life of this plan. So the plan is not going to change any existing zoning. However, it will influence future zoning changes. And the city is currently going through a zoning ordinance update right now. So some of the components from this plan will flow into that process as well. The future land use map, while it generally lines up with the zoning map, it's not 100%. So the two are related, but not the same. The comprehensive plan is not regulatory. It's just policy guidance and direction for the city, but to implement the policies, there's going to be follow-on work needed, such as the zoning ordinance and different planning activities like a master plan for the transportation, transit master plan, updating parks and rec plans to address some of the issues or some of the items that were identified in the comprehensive plan. And the future land use map is not changing anything that is already built and existing. What it's meant to do is guide if there's opportunities for future redevelopment of certain areas or refocusing certain type of development, such as commercial, along some of the areas identified for the shopping districts, for example. The plan's broken out into 8 different chapters. The first chapter provides a summary of Socorro today, as well as what we heard from community members on what they love about the community, what makes Socorro special, and why people want to live here. It also has some background and history on cultural resources and the Isleta tribe to tie in that into what makes it such a, they're very ingrained into the fabric of the community as well. The second chapter is a summary of the public engagement process that we went through. It's got a summary of the key findings that we heard from the community questionnaire and the input we got from our 3 public meetings, as well as our discussions with focus groups and city staff and the steering committee, who all helped guide the plan as well. The vision statement provides that kind of end look for the overarching guide for how the goals and policies fit in to get Socorro to that ultimate end state of the plan. And then there's 5 different elements, which we're going to describe in a little bit. Each of those elements has goals and policies that help guide the city into developing the different components: growth, parks, economic opportunities, and others. And then the future land use map is going to be kind of the primary guide for where certain types of development should occur within the community to support that vision as well. The final component is the implementation plan. That's kind of the action plan for the city to help them implement the different goals and policies to help the city grow into the direction that it's guided. Throughout the process, engagement with the community, these are the overarching themes that we heard from the community and focus groups, celebrating Socorro's rural, past, and historic assets, as we saw from the funding that was received tonight. That's very important for the community and something that is found throughout all the elements of the plan. Providing diverse housing options was identified as important for some of the younger community members who want to be able to live in Socorro and raise their families here. But as the community continues to grow, there needs to be some additional options for housing other than just single family. So we worked with city staff to identify some of those areas for, air quote, higher density development, maybe some duplexes, condominiums, some apartments as well. So we wanted to keep those areas into some of the undeveloped areas where we don't want to affect the existing single family communities, but looking for where those options are at maybe some of the opportunities for mixed use areas as well, where there could be a little concentration of commercial housing and restaurant activity. Offering enhanced recreational programs, activities, and events. Well, we saw tonight that there's a lot of great opportunities there. So this is looking more at some of the amenities at the parks throughout the community, making sure that there's activities to support people of all ages and all ability levels. Providing well-maintained, reliable, and accessible community services and facilities. That's going to be important as the community grows. We know that the city doesn't provide some of those services like water and power, but it's important to work with those providers and maintain those relationships to make sure that the new areas that are developing within the city are appropriately served. And then expanding commercial and employment opportunities. This is seen through some of the shopping district areas that were identified, particularly along Nuevo Waco Tanks, and some other considerations along North Loop and Alameda. So we really couldn't have done this plan without the community engagement matrix. We facilitated development of the plan, but it's not our plan, it's the community's plan. So it's important to make sure to engage with the community as we did throughout the process. We had our project website available from start to finish. So over the past year, we've had 3 community events, 10 focus group meetings, 3 steering committee meetings. We've met with the department heads from the city and had our monthly project team meetings. So each of those was very important to make sure that we're including all the voices from the community and making a plan that's going to benefit the community over the next 15 to 20 years. And all of our community engagements were, the announcements and materials that were provided at the meetings were provided bilingually to help get the maximum amount of engagement. And our website was also provided bilingually. So we did present this to you all about a month ago. There were some changes that were made because at that time it was in public draft phase. So these are just a summary of the major changes that occurred from that last plan until this final version. A couple changes to the future land use map to address recent zoning changes that had occurred that were not captured in the map. I'll show those on a couple slides here when we get to the map. We included more information on the Isleta del Sur Pueblo because of their importance within the community, and we wanted to make sure that they were appropriately celebrated within the plan for as important residents within the community and to help understand their role in the community as well. We provided some additional small business support. So the city recently adopted their economic strategic recovery plan. Some of the components from that are identified to move forward to provide opportunities for economic growth in the comprehensive plan as well. So that will be an important tool moving forward. We identified some tree preservation and landscape ordinance policies. Those will be important as the city moves forward with the development of its unified development code that is currently ongoing. And those will help provide some healthy benefits for the community, provide shade and retention of trees along some of the major corridors. And it also helps the city to be able to, by having it in the plan, showing to some grant providers to get that opportunity to have funding to plant new trees or retain existing trees. We added some more discussion on the foreign trade zone to help bolster that economic component. And then as you look at the main kind of visual difference between the plan is you'll see there's a lot more imagery incorporated throughout the plan to break up the text a little bit and to help support some of the narrative that was identified. So these are the 5 plan elements. Each of the elements has different components within them. So instead of having a plan that's organized into 10 or 15 different elements, at the start we were working with the city to identify what are those kind of 5 or 6 key theme areas. And from that discussion, these are the elements that we came up with. So each of the elements we'll go through the different focus areas within those that are important for the plan. The growth and development element is probably the biggest driver for how the community is going to grow. That doesn't mean it's the most important element, but this has the most guidance for future growth and opportunities. So this element covers the land use, the future land use map. It was important for the community to protect the rural character of the community while encouraging appropriate development and businesses. So we looked at how can we retain some of those large agricultural areas and kind of keep that connective green space within the community and provide opportunities if there is a desire for some of those large agriculture landowners to sell their land or develop. What are some opportunities that if that's developed into a subdivision, how can that be kind of still retain some of that green space through conservation subdivisions is one example that we included in there. Housing diversity is also in this element. The shopping district that I mentioned along those corridors. So we have a land use category called regional commercial, and that's meant to be kind of that bigger, denser commercial, particularly along Nuevo Tanks. So it can serve as a draw for people from outside of Socorro, but also to provide that shopping areas for the residents so that they don't have to go to other communities to do their shopping or go to restaurants, and that it can help retain some of that economic benefit within the city. And then this element also covers some tourist opportunities, working with regional partners to grow the tourist base in Socorro, especially around some of the cultural resources that are found within the city. And once the Rio Vista Center redevelopment happens, then that will also be a great benefit and have some, it's going to be a benefit mostly for the community, but people are going to want to come from around the state and the country to see that area as well. So this is the future land use map. Hopefully you can see my cursor here. I'll just show the main changes that were made. So this area that's shown in the industrial commercial mixed use, this was previously shown as agriculture, but this property has been rezoned into ICMUD. So we made that change on the future land use map. And then we also relocated this heavy industrial. It was originally down here on the west side of I-10, but this area is already zoned as ICMUD. So we moved the heavy industrial over a little further away from some of that already developed residential areas. All right, I'm going to pass over to Janice now, and she's going to give a summary of the other elements.
Hello, good evening. It's so nice to be here with you virtually today. I wish we would have been there in person because I miss being in Socorro and having your fantastic food. But we're going to set a family trip soon so that I can revisit. So just a little bit about these different elements. You'll notice a theme when you start to read through the plan, or as you've read through the plan, and as Brent and I have been talking, there are some of these themes that are repeated in these different elements, and it's done so by design, just because we want to make sure that one, we hone in on what we heard from the community, but then we're providing these recommendations that helps with your narrative as your staff starts to move forward with implementation and for grant funding purposes. And so they can see that there's different projects that will reach across all the different elements within your community and be able to include that with your grant funding request. For your quality of life element, some of the focused elements that we were looking at were redevelopment, making sure that it captures the historic characteristics of your community, and so that it's done so in a way that honors your past. Also, with the Paso del Norte, just making sure that there's those connections that that honors, again, the plans that are already here within your community, and connects those historic landmarks. And then, of course, your parks and open space. We heard from the community that they wanted to make sure that there was an investment in the current parks that you had, making sure that the maintenance and operation is there, but to provide more amenities within those parks, like shade, benches, trails, and that connectivity component. Next slide. Your mobility element, and one thing that we heard is we want to make sure that there's a safe form of transportation within the community. We heard there's a lot of traffic, but then the traffic is happening at these speeds that makes it dangerous for your residents. And I know that y'all just kicked off a campaign with TxDOT, and what it's the Operation Slowdown. And so that's exciting to see these things that are happening and coinciding with this comprehensive plan adoption. But we're recommending in your plan that there be some ways to reduce your traffic flow, reduce congestion, provide safe modes of transportation, whether it be for, in the picture you'll see that there's some people there, I think that's for a parade, for people that are on the street walking or commuting to different places, but also being able to enjoy the amenities and the events that you have, making sure that you have safe places for people to bike and to hike and to have that connectivity throughout all of your parks and your community centers. And then your electric vehicle charging stations, that's something that's coming. Many communities are looking forward to that right now and looking for grant opportunities and funding opportunities to provide these charging stations. And so that is a component within your plan as well. And then with your truck routes. So all of this is really tied to your safety component for your residents, making sure that as your community grows and you have some more of this commercial and industrial traffic, that the trucks are commuting in an area that is safe for your residents and the people that are visiting within your community. And then your public services. You have fantastic public services within your community. Just looking at, we heard there's the campus, the civic campus, or your one-stop campus within the community where your citizens have a place to go and they don't have to go to different areas to get their services provided. Then looking also at your public safety buildings, I know that there is your railroad dissects your community, and sometimes there is issues with your emergency services and providing that transit to get to your residents. And so maybe there's a way to look at substations or sub-emergency stations where you don't have that dissection in services. And then, of course, looking at your capital improvement planning, making sure that as you are planning each year and looking at your funding sources, that you have a plan of what you want to fund in these projects moving forward. And so there's projects here that you can look at in your different ways how to fund it. And then your utilities. We know that, like Brent said earlier, your utilities are not owned by the city, but it is important that you have a place at the table and make sure that you're represented with those, as you've already done and you've done a great job with, but just continue to do so. And your community resiliency and balancing your new growth, making sure that it's responsible growth and that growth maintains the character in which you're known for and preserves your agricultural roots. on words, and your open spaces. And so we provide different areas where you can work hand in hand with the agricultural community in being able to do that instead of just regulating their property for them. You could work with them in a partnership ability. And then looking at stormwater improvements, I know that that's really important for your community. Looking at a natural way to provide those, and you'll see a picture here. There's ways to include your vegetation and make it appealing, but then also provide that stormwater component as well. Bren talked a little bit about the conservation subdivisions. That's one of those things that we talked about for preserving your roots. They're a way to work with those property owners to conserve a portion of their property while still being able to develop at the same densities for the housing that they originally wanted to. And then water management, conservation planning. That is also working with your region, Region E, in making sure that you can access some of those fundings available. There was that Proposition 3 we talked about at our last meeting, or Proposition 6 that we talked about at our last meeting that was $250 million that was allocated within the state. And that is included in this plan. There's narrative and information on that. Then renewable energy. Visiting with Bren, I know that when we came in for the community meeting, you guys have an abundance of wind and sun. And so there is great opportunity to be able to look at renewable energy within your community. And that also helps to preserve too some of your agricultural uses. And then in your final section is your implementation strategies. And so it is broken down into ongoing items, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And so knowing that there's some things that you have that are low-hanging fruit that you can accomplish pretty quickly, that your city staff is even already working on, which is really exciting to see. The creation of the UDC, which is your revision of your zoning ordinances and land development ordinances, that they will use this plan to be able to make some of those decisions, because we've already done some of that work that receive the information from the community. And so there's the prioritize improvements for your parks and recreation facilities. That's something that also can be done through a Parks and Open Space Master Plan. Updating that, if you have a plan that's updated within 5 years, you qualify for additional funding through Texas Parks and Wildlife. And then exploring other state and federal grants that help you with preservation and development projects. So there's a lot of that funding that's available that a lot of times communities don't know about. And so we do talk about that within some of this. But that is also a short-term implementation action. And then funding sources to help you augment your capital improvement projects, which is also related to those grants and federal funding. And then some of the key midterm actions that we have in here is your economic recovery strategic plan. Brent talked about it earlier. We were so excited to see that that was just approved by Mayor and Council, I believe at your last meeting. And so there are target industries that are included in there and that you can start identifying and working towards. And so some of these midterm implementation plan actions you might accomplish ahead of this 5 to 10 years, and that would be fantastic if you do. But sometimes some of these things take a little bit longer, and so that's why you'll see these timeframes put on it. And then establishment of a facade improvement program. These funding sources will help you revitalize the buildings within your community. Just give them a facelift and will help maintain Socorro's character. And then develop your multimodal transportation master plan. That is your master plan that's going to help you be able to point towards when you are looking for TxDOT funding, TxDOT programs, and make sure that they are adhering to what you want to see within your community is when these street systems are developed. And then promote your mixed use development near El Paso Community College. That is your mixed use. Brent talked a little bit about it with your entertainment, with your diversity in housing. This could be an economic spur and growth area for you. And then we have some potential funding sources. There's your local is your capital improvement plans and your general funds, and then your state. And this is not an extensive list, but this is just some that we have identified, is your Texas Water Development Board, which we talked about, TxDOT, which you guys have done a fantastic job in being able to leverage, your Texas Historic Foundation, that also you guys have been fantastic about getting those resources, and Texas Preservation Trust funds, and then your federal funds, which was exciting to see today. Congratulations on that new funding that you received. Then you have the American Rescue Plan, the Department of Energy, and FEMA. Then you have your private corporations that a lot of people don't realize that there's corporations that are really willing to donate towards communities, especially for quality of life issues with your foundations, your maquilas. Your maquilas sometimes have funding sources for parks and open spaces that they're wanting to do. And then of course your utility companies. And we are available to answer any questions you might have. Again, it has been a pleasure working with you and with city staff and getting to know the residents in your community. We have absolutely enjoyed our time with Socorro.
I got a question. Real quick, you mentioned that it's a live document. What happens to, what's it called? The QR code. Let's say somebody scans it. Does it continue to bring in the information? Does it stop, or?
Are you asking about the QR code that were on our handouts at our meetings?
Yes.
So those will link to the project website. The project website will remain open for a year or so, but it's not going to be really updated too much. After the plan is adopted, then we'll post the final onto the website. But in terms of getting additional feedback, that was primarily to develop the plan. So the QR code is not going to be, I mean, people will be able to view the documents, but it's not going to be supportive of providing additional input into the plan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'm not sure if it falls along the lines of updating. So updating stays there, it takes a year to update, and how often can you update after a year? Does that make sense? I'm sorry. This plan can be updated how often? Let's just put it that way.
You want to weigh in on that, Janice, with the?
So this plan could be updated as often as is necessary. One thing that is a really cool idea, your city staff is so great with transparency and communication. You could develop something that shows as you're doing the implementation, and whether that be monthly or annually, you could have something that shows that progression. And if there's something that is in here and maybe it's been done, you could show that and have a check mark that you've done UDC or some of those things. And so you can do those updates as you see fit. If there's something that you see in your future land use map, hopefully we've been able to capture what you're wanting to see, and you can make these policy decisions based off of that future land use map. But if there is something and you need to make those changes, that's something that you can do, just like you've done in your past meeting.
And so I'll just throw in, Any amendments to the plan will still go through the public hearing process and have public input on them, especially if there's going to be updates made to the future land use map. And I just lost my other comment that I was going to say, but does that address your
It does. and
questions,
now-
Representative?
Yes, it does, and now I have one for the staff. So, let's say we have, every month we have an update. Is there a cost every time we update it, and is it better if we just put it, every quarterly, every month, yearly, or every 6 months, so it doesn't cost the city much?
Yes, so you're adopting this comprehensive plan as a form of an ordinance. So every time that you want to amend, you would have to go through the ordinance, meaning the public hearing, notify the public, and then come to the amendment to council for approval. Right, so it would go through planning and zoning and then coming through here. So it would be just the public hearing, the publishing that would cost and staff's work in order to update.
So is it better just to hold off for 6 months and then
It depends on the need and the urgency of what we're needing to amend.
So now that we have this information, maybe we can keep it, and if it's not an urgent need, we can put it on one list, and if it's an urgent need for another, so it could be cost effective?
Yes, we'll be tracking all those changes and needs.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And you wouldn't necessarily, like I was talking about, as you're implementing and you're accomplishing some of your goals, you wouldn't necessarily need to amend your master plan. You can just keep that transparency up on the website or be able to do a report without amending the plan. Just letting people know that you've made this progression is also great.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Mayor, if I could, I'd like to also mention that the Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the plan, and the recommendation for approval was on Tuesday. Mr. Cisneros, one of the Planning and Zoning Commissioners, is here, and he just wanted to say a few words to council regarding the plan.
Mayor, City Council, because it was the first time that we come across a comprehensive plan like this that's so far into the future, we were kind of surprised with how broad it is and how encompassing it is. And kind of after we got to see it more and then see the implementation part of it at the end, what we got excited about was how much of an outsized role not only can each of us play in the implementation, because it really is, here's the football. We, us personally, my wife and I, we've picked a couple of topics that we'd like to run with into the future. So that's the really exciting part, especially for everybody that participates and lives in Socorro and says, hey, nobody tells us, there's nothing to do, here's a comprehensive plan that we spent a lot of money on. There's, at the very end of it, it shows, hey, these are the early adopters that we can move forward with, or something that you can do personally or business-wise that you can run into the future with. So that's, as Vice Chair of the Planning and Zoning, we just wanted to kind of let you guys know that we were excited about that part. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, just one last comment. I think that moving forward, any new members of the Planning and Zoning Commission, that's your Bible. And I know that a lot of times when residents or people from the outside come in here and they apply for a permit of some sort for any type of development, I think because it meets all of the criteria as per our ordinances, it's a green light. But sometimes once it hits this table, it doesn't align with the comprehensive plan. And so we're just green lighting everything that falls in the parameters of the rules. So I think that from here on out moving forward, we need to educate our Planning and Zoning Commission here. Read this, breathe it, sleep with it, eat it, let it be part of your life, because moving forward, when you all are making the decisions, before it comes to this table, it needs to align with that comprehensive plan. And just as a side note, for Planning and Zoning members, if they're listening to this, a lot of times, I want to say about 90% of the things get passed, but we always question our planner. Did the Planning and Zoning Commission approve or disapprove? They approved, or they approved with this condition. We take that as it's good to go. So we rely heavily on you all. You all play a very, very important role in the development and growth and future of our city. But thank you all for your hard work as well, because we know that you guys are volunteering your time. And it's not every day you get a pat on the back, but thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules and away from your families to put these things together for us. Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 13, public hearing of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Mayo Summit subdivision being a tract 5D, block 27, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas. It is 7:26 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:26 p.m. Item number 14, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Mayo Summit subdivision being a tract 5D, block 27, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Thank you again, Mayor and Council. Item number 14, Mayo Summit subdivision. This is a preliminary and final plat with a waiver request. The property is tract 5D, block 27 of Socorro Grant. The owners are Sebastian Mayo and Ana Lucia Sanchez. The representatives are here if you have any questions. The lot is approximately 0.604 acres in size. It is zoned R2, medium density residential. It is currently vacant and a portion of it residential. The future land use map designates it as rural residential, and in summary, the request is to approve a preliminary and final plat with a waiver request for the soils analysis report for Mayo Summit subdivision. Planning and zoning staff recommended approval of the preliminary and final plat with the waiver request at the July 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted to approve the preliminary and final plat, but denied the waiver request. The property is located northeast, at the northeast intersection of Socorro Road and Denny Rossi Drive. Again, it is zoned R2. The properties to the east are R1 residential, single family, and the properties to the east, west, and south are C1 and C2 commercial zoning. These are photographs of the property taken from Denny Rossi Drive and on the top, and Socorro Road with the photo in the bottom. You can see in the top photograph a mobile home, and on the bottom photograph, apartment complex. The aerial photo depicts the location of the buildings on the property a little better, and then the area land uses are a mix of residential and commercial. The vacant lot to the north and another vacant lot to the south. This is the preliminary plat for Mayo subdivision. It will be one lot, 26,310 square feet in size. And the final. In summary, the request is to approve a preliminary and final plat with a waiver request for the soils analysis report requirement for the Mayo Summit subdivision. With that, staff can answer any questions, and the representative is also here to answer any questions that you might have.
Ms. Villalobos.
I'm sorry, you mentioned the square footage is 20 what?
26,310 square feet.
And because it's that small or that size, they're asking for the waiver of what is it, the soil?
No, the
audit?
soils report waiver is more along the lines of, I'm sorry, I don't have the letter in front of me, just that it's an older neighborhood. The building has been there since the early 80s. The soil has shown its ability to support the types of structures that are going to be placed on there.
Follow-up questions for that.
Go ahead.
Who determines that they've been, I mean, they hold their, is it?
It's just an observation. The engineer, the applicant.
There's no liability in the future?
Well, there's aerial images that you can see that it's been there for many years.
But I just don't, because I'm in real estate and I've seen foundation of new houses and whatnot, and they did the soil and they started sinking. To me, what are they adding on there? What are they putting on there?
2 additional buildings. All of them will be apartments. So the existing one is a quadruplex. The other 2 buildings are a duplex and a triplex. A single story. Would you like to?
Okay.
Fermin Dorado, a professional engineer from Dorado Engineering, represent the owner, Mr. Mayo, and it's our opinion and recommendation that a soils report is not necessary at this point, mainly because the building is there since 1984, and we have inspected the building is very sound, and I don't think the soils is necessary, or it's just going to be a waste of time and money from the owner. And secondly, this is a private building. I don't think the owner will take any chances of his building settling or cracking, because he already has a building for 40 years. And we inspected the building, and the building is pretty sound. So I don't think a soil investigation is required. This is my engineering recommendation.
And I'm sorry, I was referring to the new building, not to the existing building, the soil to the new building.
I didn't hear it.
I was referring to adding new buildings to the same area, the soil.
Yes. Is it going to affect the proposed buildings? No, it's not. I think the proposed building is going to be a single-story building. So it's not like it's going to be a 2-story, 3-story. It's a 1-story building that will stand. I don't think the existing soil will have any negative effect on the proposed buildings.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Cruz?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So ultimately, the engineering firm that the owner hired is basing off of an existing building that's been there for 40 years. And they're saying, well, if we build a new structure right next to it, it's going to hold because this one's been held for 40 years. And the PSI reports will show compaction rate depending on the slab that's going to be installed. But I think moving forward, because we see it at a lot of our meetings here, the requests for the waiver of soil analysis are being requested. I want to know, and again, it costs them money for soil analysis. And to tell them the compaction rate, or if they have to bring in engineered soil, or they have to remove X amount of feet or excavate, it costs a lot of money to do that. But being that it's on private property, is the city really liable for anything that happens on private property? But at the same time, I can see where the city is liable for issuing the permit to move forward and build. So this question is a legal question for Jim.
The answer is no, almost certainly not. I mean, the ability of a private homeowner, property owner to assert some claim against the city for waiving the requirement of a soils report is not very high. In fact, you probably have more exposure, ironically, you probably have more exposure to other potential applicants, other landowners who in the future say, well, you waived it for them, why don't you waive it for me? The ordinance, our construction standards, our development standards now require it. Private, public, or otherwise, it requires the soils report, and your city planning and zoning commission denied the request for a waiver.
Right. So, and ultimately, as a city, what we want to do, and even if it's private property, we want to make sure that there's being dwellings that are being made safe and to standard and stuff like that. And I know you're an engineer and you studied and went to school for it, but I think that as a city, it would be our obligation and duty to make sure that the residents are moving in, or any type of commercial operation, whether residential or commercial, is being held in a safe environment that was built to code and standard ultimately. But we see it all the time, the waiver request. So that was it.
I don't believe the owner will take the chance of not building a safe building. Okay? It is on his own benefit and his own protection to build a safe building, and I'm pretty sure when he gets a permit to do the buildings, the proper compaction will be done, and the proper footing will be designed in accordance.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Ms. Villalobos?
Do we know what the report actually costs for this particular, if they had to provide a soil report?
I'm going to say between $3,500 and $4,500.
Okay. And I, you know, your comment, I'm taking it to heart and everything, but quite frankly, I don't think that you coming here and saying that it's, you know, they're gonna, of course they're gonna build something safe. But the dirt, we never know. And that's where I'm conflicted.
What I'm saying is that a soil report is not necessary. That's what I'm saying.
All righty, thank you.
Mr. Garcia?
I want to amend my motion to approve, but I'm going to deny the waiver request as P&Z requested on the July 2nd, 2024 meeting.
Second.
Ruben Reyes is absent. Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Item number 15, public hearing of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Sahajanand, Unit 1, subdivision being 16.01 acres, portion out of 73.6958 acres, tract of Robert E. Nix, survey number 304, El Paso County, Texas.
Motion
It is.
I'm sorry.
It is 7:38 PM. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:38 PM. Item number 16, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Sahajanand, Unit 1, subdivision being 16.01 acre, portion out of 73.6958 acre, tract of Robert E. Nix, survey number 304, El Paso County, Texas.
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The preliminary and final plat for Sahajanand Unit 1 subdivision is item number 16 on the agenda. The property owner is Kupalu Opportunities LLC. The representatives are Trey and Associates. Lynette Nevares is present to answer any questions that council might have regarding the development that staff cannot cover. The lot is a little over 16 acres in size. It is outside of the city limits. It is within the 2-mile extraterritorial jurisdiction. So there is no zoning, and the current land use is vacant. In summary, the request is for a preliminary and final plat approval for Shahand Unit 1. Planning and zoning staff recommends approval of the request. Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval of the preliminary and final plat at their July 18th meeting. The property is located just southeast of the intersection of the Gateway and Gateway Boulevard East and FM 1110. It is again within the city's 2-mile ETJ. It does not have zoning. The zoning to the north is unclassified. These are photographs of the property taken from FM 1110, showing the vacant lot. The land uses surrounding the property are vacant to the south and a complex of restaurant, hotel to the east, northeast, and offices to the west. This is the preliminary plat. This would be for one lot for the Shahajand Unit 1 subdivision. With that, staff can answer any questions. Oh, and again, sorry, yes.
Ms. Rodarte?
I wanted to clarify the July 18th, that the Planning and Zoning Commissioner, July 18th is today.
Day, so it's July
it was
16th.
July 2nd or July 16th?
July 16th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In summary, the request is for approval of a preliminary and final plat for the Shahajand Unit 1 subdivision.
Ms. Villalobos?
So what are they planning to build on?
I don't know that we have that information or that the client can disclose, but
Hi, good evening, Council. My name is Lynette Nevares with Train Associates, and the plan is for commercial development.
Would that include apartments?
This is actually going to be a hotel.
Okay. All right. Then you've answered my questions. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Item number 17, public hearing of an ordinance approving the final plat and variance request for a 50-foot to 0 maximum allowable building height and reduced parking space. Requirements of 1 space per 400 square feet of net leasable office space and 1 space per 5,000 square feet of net leasable warehouse area for East Wind Hills Unit 1 subdivision being tracks 11-B and 11-B-4, Robert E. Nix Survey number 302, Socorro, Texas. It is 7:43 p.m. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
Would anybody like to speak on this item? As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:43 p.m. Item number 18, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the final plat and variance request for a 50-foot-0 maximum allowable building height and reduced parking space requirements of 1 space per 400 square feet of net leasable office space and 1 space per 5,000 square feet of net leasable warehouse area for East Wind Hills Unit 1 subdivision, being tracks 11-B and 11-B-4, Robert E. Nix Survey, number 302, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve with staff recommendation. Second.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And I needed to correct myself. That was the correct date. I just had the most recent Planning and Zoning meeting on my mind. So the June 18th date is correct. Item 18, East Wind Hills Unit 1 subdivision final plat and variance request. So East Wind Hills Unit 1 subdivision final plat and variance request. The property owner is Clint Land Holdings Company, LLC. The representative is Jorge Escarate with CEA Group. The lot is 66.44 acres in size. It is zoned ICMUD and currently vacant. Previous council action on the item was approval of the preliminary plat on September the 28th, 2023. In summary, the request is for approval of the final plat and a variance request for a 50-foot maximum allowable building height and reduced parking space requirements to 1 space per 400 net leasable office space and 1 space per 5,000 square feet of leasable warehouse area. Planning and zoning staff recommends approval of the request and the variance. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval of the final plat and variance request at their July 2nd meeting. This property is located off of the Gateway West. The portion within the city limits is zoned ICMUD. The area to the north is unclassified. The area to the east is also ICMUD, as well as the area to the south, and the area to the east is vacant. These are photographs taken from Gateway Boulevard West. And the aerial photograph shows the vacant land surrounding the property. There are 2 sheets to the final plat, the section within the city limits. I'm sorry, I correct myself. This is the final plat, East Wind Hills Unit 1. Again, 66.44 acres, and it is two lots. Divided by the right-of-way for an East Wind Boulevard. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Ms. Villalobos?
Do we know what they want to use this land? Have they talked about different projects or?
So the IC, I'm sorry, I don't have that plan available, but when we approved the ICMUD zoning district, they did have and provide a layout where it was a mix of the more general commercial uses and then the larger logistic centers to the rear. This is one piece of the final plat. The extension of this, Unit 2 is outside of the city limits.
And so what is the purpose of the waiver?
No, the reduction in the parking requirement. Our parking requirement ordinance is very high and it's more toward warehouse, manufacturing, and the developers are finding that these are not exceed the actual number of parking spaces that are required for these types of developments, where it's a smaller office, not a lot of workers in the building at one time to require all of that parking. So it can be a waste of space to have that much parking. And it is one of the items that we are looking at amending in our code rewrite. There have been several cases just recently with a lot of these logistic centers that our ordinance isn't quite in step with this type of development.
Okay, you answered my next question. Do you know other cities or municipalities or surrounding us that actually have implemented a smaller?
Yeah, so we're just looking at a couple of examples and trying to find something that works best. But generally it is generally not a lot, we need to look at it further. 1 per 2,000 square feet of net leasable area for the warehouse segment.
Thank you.
And the height as well. So that was the other part of the waiver.
The height of
The
the
variance
building?
for the height.
And again, because.
Because it's
It's a different type of development versus.
use the warehousing, the scaffolding, and
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos.
Yes.
Item number 19, public hearing of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Villagran subdivision being a tract 4C16, Block 14, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas. It is 7:50 PM. Public hearing is now open.
No speakers, Mayor.
As there are no speakers, public hearing is now closed at 7:50 PM. Item number 20, second reading and adoption of an ordinance approving the preliminary and final plat for Villagran subdivision being a tract 4C16, Block 14, Socorro Grant, Socorro, Texas.
Motion to approve.
thank you, Mayor and Council. Item number 20, preliminary and final plat for Villagran subdivision. The property owner and representative Francisco Rivas, the lot size is just under an acre and is zoned C2 general commercial. The current land use is residential and the future land use for the area designates the area as single-family residential. The planning and zoning staff recommends approval of the preliminary and final plat for Villagran subdivision, and the Planning and Zoning Commission voted for approval of the plat at their June 18th meeting. The property is located on Horizon Boulevard, just east of the intersection of Sparks and Horizon. It is zoned to C2. The properties to the north are zoned R1, single-family residential. Properties to the east and west are C2, general commercial, and then there's that mix of general commercial, single-family, and agricultural to the south. These are photographs of the property. The top photograph is taken from Horizon Boulevard, and the bottom photograph was taken from Tortugas Road. There is currently a single-family home on the property. The aerial photograph shows the entire lot and the surrounding land uses, a mix of commercial and residential land uses. The preliminary plat for Villagran subdivision, a single lot measuring 39,421 square feet. And this, again, Villagran subdivision, preliminary and final plat for City Council's consideration. With that, staff can answer any questions.
Ms. Villalobos?
Okay, so I have several questions. One, did we have any residents in the area opposing?
These are subdivision cases, so we don't send out notification to property owners regarding these changes. This isn't a zoning change.
Okay.
So we don't send out notification for subdivision plats.
Okay, because we've had a lot of residents in that area opposed to using these residential properties as commercial. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I might have seen this property. I thought this property looked like a house, but was being used as commercial. I don't quote me on it. I mean, hold me to that, but that's why I was.
Yeah, so from
because I've heard from them.
Oh, okay.
That's for years, but I know it's close to, I mean, it's right next door to a huge commercial, and I understand that.
Mhm.
I just, I don't know
Correct,
if
so you're not changing the zoning, you're just approving the preliminary plat. Right, the zoning, right now, the current zoning is C2 general commercial.
Okay, Because it says currently land use residential.
Yes,
That's what's
but
there
that's
right
what's
now.
currently
That's
on,
what's
it's
there
a,
right
Ah, okay.
sorry.
That's where I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's why
it's
I
just
went
a single-family residential structure, and I am not aware if that is vacant or
Okay.
or
That's-
occupied.
I keep forgetting that we have some like that need to be corrected.
Mhm.
Okay, okay. Got it, thank you.
Anyone else?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Moving on to grants, item number 21, discussion and action to approve supplemental agreement number 4 for work authorization number 2 for the Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road project under contract number 22-07-01 with Camacho Hernandez and Associates LLC. This supplemental will result in a reduction of $27.67 to the maximum amount payable for work authorization number 2.
Motion to approve.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Alejandra Valadez, City Development Director. We're requesting your approval for this supplemental for our work authorization with Camacho Hernandez for the Sparks Arroyo project. For the Nuevo Hueco Tanks Road project. Illumination, the design of illumination for this project was not included in the original scope of the work authorization because we are including a shared use path and we expect children, the elderly, and bikers and riders to use that shared use path. We do need to include illumination on that project. So this supplemental addresses that need by reconciling some of the budget amounts in the exhibits. It will result in a negative net change to the work authorization maximum amount payable, and that's negative $27 approximately.
Any questions?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia?
I'd like to make a motion to delete item 22.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. Recreation centers, item number 24, discussion and action to award bid number 24-04, Rio Vista Community Center Rehabilitation Package 4A, Bracero Museum B17 to Sky Ridge Construction LLC, and authorize city manager or her designee to negotiate and execute agreement.
Motion to approve.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the first bid document that we went out for construction for the new museum that will be at the Rio Vista Community Center. This bidder, if allowed, would allow us to go out for negotiations. Once we get the all clear from city administration and legal, we'd come back to present you with the contract. This is just allowing us to start the negotiation process.
So you're trying to award the RFQ though,
Correct.
right? So we're trying to award the RFQ so we can negotiate the price.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colombia Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to city manager, item number 25, discussion and action to award RFQ 24-05 Transit Development Plan to the Goodman Corporation and authorize city manager or her designee to negotiate and execute agreement.
Motion to approve.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Adriana Rodarte, City Manager. The purpose of this agenda item is to request approval to the sealed request for qualifications, RFQ 2405, that was published June 9th and June 16th. All proposals were due and received on June 24th. The City of Socorro received one proposal. The review committee consisted of City Manager Adriana Rodarte, City Development Director Alejandra Valadez, and City Planner Director Lorraine Camilo. The Goodman Corporation scored 94.3. Therefore, we recommend that Goodman Corporation be awarded this contract. The firm was scored based on qualifications and previous related experience of key personnel. understanding of work requirements, previous related work experience, previous outreach experience, and project management approach. The awarded firm meets all requirements. This transit development plan aims to provide short and long-term strategic guidance to the City of Socorro for transit services. The project will examine how the city can best prioritize public investment to enhance its current transit needs. This plan will assess the current transit services and potential for new transit services to support a range of community and regional goals. And we're here to answer any questions.
I have one.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Mr. Cruz?
Where's the Goodman Corporation out of?
ARPA funds?
No. Where are they located, like the organization?
The organization is...
Like, are they local or are they out of state or out of city?
I think they're from Austin.
Oh, okay.
So they have an office in Houston, Austin, and El Paso.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. And then ARPA funding would be
The funding source.
The funding source.
So right now it's just to award the RFQ, then staff goes out and negotiates the price.
Correct. Thank you.
Mr. Garcia?
Just to remind everybody, this is something for Socorro, where will be in charge of our own transit services. So we and the city our constituents can dictate the routes. So this is we approved this a while back, so just to remind everybody about it, and it's looking to where our constituents are gonna be able to dictate our routes for transit services.
I have one more comment.
Mr. Cruz?
Now that we're on the topic of transit development planning and organizing the future of public transportation in our city, I think that we should begin work on the campaign or message that we're going to send out to our community, letting them know this is what's coming, this is new, get ready. We're going to offer routes that weren't offered before, as before from the previous service provider. I think that we should get ahead of the game before any other messages are sent out. I think we should be the ones ultimately that notify our community in a positive form and fashion, and let them know that we're being very cognizant of their needs, and also I don't want to use the word frugal, but using tax dollars wisely. So if we can,
yes, sir.
Yeah, get that going. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Ms. Villalobos?
I'll follow up with that. So we're using only strictly constituent funds, or if you want to call them that?
Taxes?
Funds, taxes, or, thank you. And, or is it a mix of ARPA, of grants?
So right now it's ARPA funds for this transition plan. This will give us more information of what route the city needs to take to make sure it meets its needs.
But the future could be not ARPA funds, but other types of
General funds.
General
Mhm.
funds, got it,
Yes.
okay.
Or grants.
Grants.
We'll be very aggressive in going after funding.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes?
Yes.
Cesar Nevares?
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia?
Aye.
Rudy Cruz?
Aye.
And Ivan Colom Villalobos?
Yes.
Item number 26, discussion and action to award RFP 24-07 to Job Materials LP on the prices, specifications, and conditions received through this request for proposal for ARPA surface transportation and city paving projects.
Motion to approve. Second.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The purpose of this agenda item is to inform the Council of the sealed request for proposal 2407 that was published June 9th and June 16th. All proposals were due and received on June 24th. The City of Socorro received one proposal. The review committee consisted of City Manager Adriana Rodarte, City Development Director Alejandra Valadez, and City Planner Director Lauren Quimiro. We recommend Joe Materials LP be accepted on the prices, specifications, and conditions received through this request of proposal for ARPA surface transportation and city paving projects. The awarded firm meets all of the requirements. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Ms. Villalobos?
Sorry, I'm full of questions. So, in awarding this company, Job, and they will be handling our future paving, our future,
Paving material.
just the material.
Yes, ma'am. We do we do all of our paving in-house. All we pay for is the material.
The material, okay. That was the question, thank you.
Thank you.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to delete items 28, 29, and 30?
Motion to delete items 28 through 30.
Actually, Mayor, you can delete 31 as well. There's no action.
I'll amend my motion to do items 28 to 31.
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares.
Yes.
Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Motion to adjourn?
Ruben Reyes.
Yes.
Cesar Nevares. Alejandro Garcia.
Aye.
Rudy Cruz.
Aye.
And Ivan Colo Villalobos.
Yes.
Meeting adjourns at 8:05 PM.
¿Qué pasó, amor?
Goodbye.
Good night.